Timothy Valdez, huh? I thought it was Tim.
Timothy, yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm getting older, yeah.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. One of the goats of our kids coaches. It's cool to have you here, man.
Thanks. It's always a pleasure.
There with the boy,
Yep.
Kenny.
Yep.
How did it feel having him do kids class today?
It's awesome. It's like the best feeling is watching him, you know, watching him compete and watching him train. It's better than any tournament and anything that I've ever done for myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Just at that level, kindergarten, you know. I get more pumped up. I was so pumped when he won, took first place.
With the wrestling.
Yeah, Santa Fe Junior Wrestling. Yeah. It was like the best, probably the best, one of the best moments of my life. I didn't have it when he was born. You know. Yeah.
You travel around with him, right? Super dad. I should say
Yeah.
that too. Super dad.
Yeah, trying to expose him to as much as I can before he gets a car and doesn't want to have anything to do with me. And, you know.
Yep, I know that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I just want to be there. I don't want to regret anything. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Think he think he needs the Wi-Fi.
You want me to
Yeah,
go
set
ahead?
him up. Set him up. Break. Okay, we're back. How's we were talking earlier like about just all the schools, you know, in Santa Fe, and just all the guys, all the black belts and stuff, and
It's a lot of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
town of 60,000 people.
Uh-huh.
There's like 10 schools or
More schools
yeah.
for the size. Yeah, it seems like I mean, everyone's passionate about jiu-jitsu. You know, you lit a fire in Santa Fe for sure. And when you left, like a lot of us felt like like orphans. You know. So, but it's cool. Like you were always inviting us with it. For some people, it's hard to come out. You know, but that's why I try to come out as much as I can.
Yeah. How does it feel the coming in here, the energy and just being around? Like it's like the same.
Yeah, it's the same. You know, it's like church. You know, like it's you come over here and get like it's like therapy. It's everything in one big place. You know.
To talk about some of those old stories back when you first started jiu-jitsu. What was the gym like?
Man, the training was tough, you know. Just you guys would walk in from all different places and be like, "What's jiu-jitsu?" And then I remember
it was like kind of like Fight Club days. People would come and challenge you to see if jiu-jitsu worked. And
I remember you'd be like, train with that kid, you know. And I'd look at you, and it was fun, you know. It was a lot of wars, but
yeah,
it was really fun.
Like I did a podcast with Leo Vieira. And, the Checkmat founder.
Yeah.
And he was just saying that, like, I think it was in the 80s or early 90s, right? Same thing. Like he was like a teenager, but he had to like prove that it worked, with different people that would come to the gym to test.
Yeah. I remember you'd be like, train with him, and they'd be like, that kid, that little skinny guy over there. You're like, yeah. And then I knew it was on. He'd give me like that look, you know. And before you know it, they were like in the office, like signing up, you know.
That's how it was in those days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. You had all the police officers coming in and out of there. It was fun. I mean, not everybody gets to tussle with a police officer every day. You know?
Yeah.
So for me, it was like the more police officers that would come in, it was fun, you know. They were all good guys too. But yeah, nothing like being a teenager and, putting a police officer in a chokehold, you know. That was a pretty good feeling. That a lot of my friends or nobody really experienced, you know. Gave you a lot of confidence, you know.
Yeah, give you a lot of confidence. I was gonna say you got to travel around, right? I went to the Pan Ams with Serenade this last weekend.
Yeah.
And you got to do some of that, right?
Yeah, it was fun doing the tournaments. There wasn't a lot of tournaments like there is now, but I remember going all over the country with you. Like, I'm gonna go to this tournament, and my dad, asked my dad, and my dad totally trusted you, you know.
Yeah. Went to Vegas. We went to California. Went to Florida,
Denver, I think California too.
Arizona too.
Yeah. Anywhere where there's a tournament,
and then Brazil.
Brazil, yeah. Competed against in my first world championship in 2001.
2001. Wow.
I remember Ghazi. He pulled me to the side and he's like, "The guy you're facing, his dad's a black belt. He won the tournament last year. He's a purple belt, but he competes as blue belt. Good luck."
Oh,
You know what I mean? Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, he had like a lazy eye, the kid, you know. And like I shook his hand, and his gi was like you know, kind of, you could tell it was, he had.
Have you been to where they have the Worlds now, at the Long Beach
No, I haven't been there. Just with those, just at Suzuka tennis. What was it?
Tennis Club? Yeah.
Yeah, that was experience.
Explain to listeners and viewers
The
what
energy,
it was like.
bro. The energy there. It's different than here in America, but just the crowd, like just the way they used to just drop their flags and just the whole arena.
Like soccer chant.
Yeah, like soccer chant, and yeah, it was unreal, you know.
Was it clean?
Not.
Do you remember the bathrooms?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was wild. It was just like everybody was just there to, you know, to get it on. You know, the energy in the room was so serious. Everybody was so serious.
Yeah.
And you know, it was. I'll never forget, like, you know, seeing like everybody, like Carlos Gracie Jr., like Hoyen,
Gracie,
yeah. Hicks and Gracie. They were just all there, just,
yeah,
you know, the legends. It was awesome to see.
Yeah.
And to see like the black belt finals, and you know, just being around the crowd. I was so lucky that you had take me there. You know, not a lot of kids like from Santa Fe got that opportunity. You know.
Yeah, but they have it. I mean, jiu-jitsu is still, I feel like it's small, you know, considering like, you know, the other sports and things like that. But back in those days, it was like it was really small, right? There weren't a lot of people like doing it or knew it to teach it, right?
No. There wasn't. It was. I remember I would tell people, "Oh, it's in jiu-jitsu," and they're like, "What is karate?" You know, I was like, "It's a little different. It's like wrestling," and you'd have to explain to them. And now it's like everybody knows jiu-jitsu,
yeah.
everybody. So.
Yeah, the UFC's on mainstream TV.
Mm-hmm. People are signing up for jiu-jitsu. Like, everyone's calls me, you know, like, "Hey, what's the best school to go to?" You know, and I give them my recommendations, and they seem like they're happy. You know, like it changes their kids' lives. You know, like it did mine. So it's always nice to like. It was nice for me to experience what I experienced, and then kind of see, like, a lot of my friends that I went to high school with, like, didn't go down the same path I did, but you can tell that they want their kids to go down that path as well, you know, for the confidence. They saw me how confident I was when I was a little kid, you know, and I owe that to you, man.
Your brothers all trained too.
Yeah, we turned out pretty solid, you know, considering, like, you know, being from Santa Fe, you know, where there's not much going on out there, you know, it's just a small town, you know. And yeah, it definitely was like the highlight of my childhood, like learning jiu-jitsu, you know, it's something to do, you know, instead of getting in trouble, you know, hanging out with your friends, kind of going down that path that a lot of teenagers go through, you know. Nowadays, these kids are like racing cars and like doing donuts, and you see all the stuff like on social media, and it's like, dude, these guys don't have an outlet, you know, they don't know what they're doing with their lives. And it was really, really nice. Kept me focused, kept me just kept me grounded, you know.
Yeah, because you did well. You you placed at pans. You got silver in pans, right? You got some the worlds. What else did we do? I mean, there was all these like there weren't that many tournaments. It was like pans or worlds.
It was like
then like the Grappler's Quest, right? Came later on.
Like then those American international tournaments. Like a lot of tournaments were in California. Yeah, I did well in those tournaments. But anytime I went to Brazil, it's like a different animal out there, you know?
Yeah.
So it is intimidating too, you know, like, you know, you see you just don't feel like at home, you know?
Yeah.
I felt like when I was training like here in America, you feel like it's like, you know, but going out there as a young teenager and just seeing, you know, just the way they like every day they train like they're training for like the world championships is like next week, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was eye opening, right? Like going down
Yeah.
down those times. That was like 2001, right? 2000.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2001. Because we started the school in 2000, so by 2001 you were a blue belt, right?
Right.
And then you started doing the tournaments because there was no white belt divisions in at those times.
But you were really good at bringing the same like energy from Brazil like to Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah. I was so grateful, man. I always tell people like I was so fortunate to have met Alberto.
It would open up your mind, it would open up the world to different things.
Yeah. I would have never ever, going to like New Mexico Academy and meeting you. Like I remember like my dad was like, I'm gonna send you to this private school. And I was like, Dad. So I don't want to go to private school. And like the classes there was like, remember like 15 kids, 20 kids for the whole I was
class.
a freshman, yeah.
For the class, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like there was so many teachers like per student, like everybody like
they were on you.
Yeah, they were on you.
Couldn't get away from
and
anything.
It was just like I was having a miserable time because I was used to like more having freedom, like at Santa Fe High School, and like hopping in people's trunks and leaving campus for lunch and stuff. And then when I got there, it was just like the microscope was on you. It was good. My dad, he wanted the best for us, but when I met you, it was just like, okay, I like the school now. Okay, cool. I just couldn't wait to.
They bust you over, right? And
Yeah.
did that because they didn't have a PE program, so
Right.
the owner, principal, the owner, he was him and his wife built the school right from scratch. That was a math and science
Right.
school, right?
Yeah, it was a good school. It was really Dr. Maltelo had a solid program.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Super
good at what he
strict,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, super
Yeah.
strict. But
Yeah.
that's how he had to be. But the jiu-jitsu was definitely like that's what was icing on the cake for me.
Yeah. And I took you guys to tournaments and stuff just with you guys from the school.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's the first time I met Alexandra.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were doing the demonstrations like on the carpet. Yeah, at the school.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah.
And then later on, you started teaching the kids, right? Like in school.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was fun.
You're still pretty young.
Yeah.
You were like in your
in my 20s.
20s.
Yeah. Early 20s. Yeah, that was a good experience. Good responsibility to have. At a young age.
What'd you like about teaching the kids?
Just like seeing them like smile. Seeing the confidence. Like, you'd meet a little kid and he'd be, okay, you're gonna sign up for jiu-jitsu, and then he'd be hiding behind his mom and dad. Like, no, I don't want to do it. And the parents had to like kind of push him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, get on. And then once he kind of saw the games and kind of saw the way it was, kind of ease into it. And a couple months later, he's like, hitting all the moves and walking around like with his chest out. Yeah, more confident. Parents loving it. Mainly like the appreciation from the parents was really nice. Jess Martinez, yeah, the Vanilla Gorilla. Yeah, it was real. It was fun seeing him. Just going to all the tournaments with him. Dylan, remember Dylan? Yeah, tearing it up. I remember I used to have that photo of all of us when you came back to Santa Fe with all their medals and stuff. Yeah, those are good memories. I used to do privates with Jess and pick him up from his dad's place, and I had that little convertible. We'd be like, pull the top down, So we'd kind of cruise to the academy and teach I give him a private lesson and drive him back home, take him to Sonic or something before. Yeah, a lot of good memories. Yeah.
How many people live in Santa Fe now?
There's like 80,000 people in the city, and then in the county there's another 80, so I think like 160,000 total. Yeah,
okay.
It's grown a lot. You can't.
Okay.
Like
because back in the day there was like I think there was like 60,000, right?
Right. Yeah, total. Yeah, it's really grown a lot.
25 years ago.
They're building houses like crazy, which is kind of a trip because you don't know like where they get the water from the runoff, So it's like
where's the water coming from?
Yeah, from just the runoff, and it's Santa Fe. It's a desert, so we don't have rights to the Rio Grandes, but they're still building. The mayor wants to build. So yeah, it's grown a lot. You can't find like the rent and the value. The property values have skyrocketed now. But it's still a nice place to live. I like it. It's like really easy, chill to get from one side of town to the other. You know, you don't have to like really worry about. There's no traffic. You know, although they still complain like, oh, that's across town. You're right, but
nothing compared to here.
nothing
Right?
compared to here. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, you grew up doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling, right? Well, you did wrestling when you were a kid, right? And then we had a lot of kids that did both jiu-jitsu and wrestling, right? And yeah, what do you think about doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling at the same time? And what was your experience with, just like the growth of the kids and what they became?
For me, like doing wrestling at a young age was, and then going from jiu-jitsu from wrestling was, it was nice because I didn't wrestle I didn't wrestle in 8th grade. I wrestled in 7th grade, but I stopped in 8th grade. And by that time, I was kind of just more into like my image and more like, trying to be cool, it's like, and my dad's like, you should want to wrestle. And I was like, no, I don't want to wrestle, So it was nice because I don't know, I probably wouldn't have gotten on the back of a mat if I hadn't met you, So, but once I met you, it's like it all came back and it clicked right away, and all those years of being on a mat like really kind of helped me progress, And yeah, I remember like when you had invited me to the adult class, I felt like really honored, You're like, you can start training with the big guys now, I started training with Ben and like and Joe Duran and like Jim. Just all those guys, they were really nice. They all took care of me, like because I was younger, I was a teenager. Isaac Tate, yeah. And they were all good to me. I never got hurt. You did a good job of making sure everybody was like, the gym was like,
everybody took care of each other,
taking care,
Even though it was Fight Club days,
yeah. There was nobody really leaving like, injured, there was not really injured. I never really remember people getting injured,
Yeah,
So,
man, it's crazy, man. I mean, 2000, 2001, it's like 24 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
So like you're like 40. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're like a teenager.
Yeah.
You're at my kid's age, so Sarani's age.
Yeah. It's a trip, man. How fast time flies.
Yeah. Now we have our kids, right? They're hanging out, playing with each other.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, man, you were a big part of my life, bro. I don't know. Like I always tell people, I don't know what I would have done if I would never met Al. I don't really know. I mean, I had a good father, so but I didn't have like an older brother or anybody. Like I didn't have someone to like look up to, like other than my dad. Sometimes you don't really, that your dad's your dad. You know what's best. That he wants what's best for you, but sometimes you don't always listen to your parents.
They say that, right? You have to. It has to be like an uncle or a teacher or a coach or somebody. Like they listen to them more than like the mom or dad.
For me, it was you, and I was just like, when I met you, I was just like, man. And then when I saw you compete, I was like, man, I want to be just like this guy. So yeah. And then, like, I remember you gave me, I was a kid, you gave me, like, a Gameness hoodie.
Oh.
Yeah. I still have it.
Yeah.
I still have it. Yeah, with a little pit bull on it, yeah. And I was so proud of it. Like, when I was walking around, I felt like, yeah, you were like a big inspiration, like an idol to me, like, straight up, like.
We had some good guys come. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Honor is mine, and my pleasure is all mine, man. It's been beautiful to watch you grow up and become the man you are, and dad. It's amazing, man. I'm not surprised, right? You had an amazing dad as well, and family. Your brothers too.
Yeah, everybody was cool. Yeah, everybody in my circle was real supportive. Which helped. When I told my dad, I was like, I don't really know if I want to go to college. I think I want to. He pressured me to go to trade school. I was like, I just want to keep doing jiu-jitsu. And he was real supportive. He saw you. He saw like he liked you. Like I trip out. Like now that I have a kid, there's very very few people like I would let take my son anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I took you guys to Vegas. You and your brothers. You were like 15. They were like younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were younger though, 12,
Yeah.
11, 10, 9,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But I asked him, right? We had breakfast like some years back, and like everybody's grown up now. He's like, "What made you trust me?" Because I was young too. I was like maybe like 23 right,
Yeah.
at the time.
That's young.
And he's like, "I don't know. You had the look in your eye."
Yeah. Mentos of the eye of a tiger. Yeah.
So it's good. It's been what honors all mine, man, to see you guys grow up.
Yeah, it was good times, man.
So you had a school, right? You had a school for some time.
Yeah, I started in
You had
2011.
an after school program, right?
Yeah, I started in 2011. I got injured. I hurt my neck in 2008, and so I kind of took some time off, and then I don't know, I didn't feel like I could compete again, so but I still wanted to be a part of jiu-jitsu was still a huge part of my life. So I started teaching some kids, and before I know it, turned into an after-school care program. I met Melody. She was a big part of kind of changing the direction of the program, and we went hard for almost 10 years, and then the pandemic hit, and it was just like the government comes in and is like, you're shut down. The schools were closed, so there was no after-school program anymore. So we tried to stay open, but it didn't make sense. So I started sanitizing. Remember?
Yeah.
Started going in it. I started doing sanitizing for the state. I had bought a bunch of sanitizer before because I was just like, oh, they're gonna COVID's. I was freaked out with COVID, So I bought all this sanitizer. I bought electrostatic machine,
Started spraying everything.
And I had it, and I was in the gym, and I was like, I got all the sanitizer, and I got a machine. What am I gonna do? And then so I was just like, oh, I'll just start disinfecting everyone's, places, and it worked. It carried it paid kept the bills paid at the gym.
Yeah.
So it was nice, And then we had the opportunity to reopen after COVID. But Melody got into real estate, and she's doing really well on that. Shout out to Melody.
Yeah.
Barker Realty. If you're looking for a home in Santa Fe. But she's doing real good at that. And when it came time to hey, do you want to open the program up? She was just like, I'm just so busy with the real estate and
doing well.
Yeah, doing well. And then I had, after COVID closed, I had those vans for the after school program, and I started got into transportation, taxi and shuttle service.
And you working for the airlines, right?
Yeah, I was working for the airlines.
Everywhere.
Yeah, flying everywhere, working for the airlines because everything shut down. Nobody was flying too, so it was perfect, And then I saw a need at the airport for
the transportation.
Yeah, you get off work and people would be like, I'd close the plane down and I leave to the terminal, and all the people that were on the plane, an hour after they offloaded, were waiting for rides. Because what happened was COVID didn't. It kind of affected the Uber drivers. So Santa Fe is a small town. Remember Capital Cab? So Capital Cab went out of business when Uber and Lyft came on board, and then COVID took out the Uber and Lyft drivers. And then when the airport opened, Santa Fe is a big retirement community, so there were a lot of the drivers, they weren't driving anymore, and nobody returned to work. So the flights came, all the tourists started coming in.
I got you.
There was nobody, so I was just got the vans, and so that's what I'm
doing
doing now.
Nice, man. We're talking about mobility and fitness and just wellness and longevity, right? In training.
Yeah, it's at 40 years old, and you start realizing how important it is. Everybody when you're young, it's you're yeah, let's stretch, and you're yeah, and you see some of the young guys, they hop on the mat, and you're I'm man, I remember when I used to do that.
What would you have done different?
I probably would have. You know what? I probably wouldn't have lifted so much weights the way I did. And I probably would have stretched, and I would have thought more. You don't when you're young, you don't think about getting old until you're actually old, and you're and things start to hurt, and and you start, but it just goes forever, just living life, But the TAC Fit is kind of really, with all those neck exercises that you showed me and all the stuff that I've learned when I come out here, really helps. it's actually probably prevented me from like actually having to go get surgery, and it's changed my because all these doctors are like, oh, they want to just put you under the knife, you know, and
Yeah.
but I'm thinking, I'm like, if I get that disc or that artificial, you know, whatever they want done, I'm not going to be able to get on the mat anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So all those
Potentially, right?
yeah, because then if I
You won't be the same anyway.
I'm gonna be too afraid to like tear that foam in my neck, and then what, you know. So yeah, it's just like the recovery, like knowing your body, knowing your limits, and just recovering after, you know, like stretching, cooling down. Like, you know, I never
We never
cooled
did that.
down. Yeah, we just like train hard and then hop in your car and leave, you know. And yeah, there's more to it, you know.
Yeah. You've been around teaching kids for wrestling, jiu-jitsu, like great kids coach, and super dad. What are your thoughts? What's the path for success for kids to be successful and on the mat?
I think
For parents, you know.
for parents is like not pushing your kids, like letting them process their own losses, you know. Sometimes like this year I saw a lot of parents like getting on their kids, like, oh, you should have done this and you should have done this. Well, the whole time their match is going on, parents are like, get him, shoot. And it's like it's you look at the kids, and I don't think parents realize how much pressure like they're putting on their kids when they're screaming at them, yelling, you know. They like, yeah, of course the kid wants to win, but it's also intimidating, you know. I always tell the parents, I'm like, imagine if they called all the parents to gather around and had all the parents go against each other. It would, you know, parents would walk out back to their car. So I always tell the parents, it's like, your son lost, you know. You don't need to tell him anything. Just tell him, good job, I'm proud of you for getting on the mat, you know. Because the goal is not necessarily for them. They're only like kindergarten, they're elementary kids. The goal isn't for first place. The goal is for them to want to step on the mat next wrestling season. And if you're always telling, they're already like feeling bad because they lost. What makes them feel even worse is when they feel like they disappointed you. That makes them give up. That's like it breaks their spirit too, you know. And so with him, I put him in kindergarten, and he was in pre-K, and I put him in a wrestling tournament, and they didn't have any pre-K kids, so he went against some first and kindergartners, and he won his first match, and he felt good, and then he went against this kid that was a little older, kind of like, you know, had his way with Kenny, and then Kenny didn't want to do it anymore, and I was like,
when he first started.
Yeah, when he first. This was last year. And so I talked to Mal, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like let him quit, you know. Like, he's just a little guy. I don't like, if I force him, he's not gonna like it, you know. So I was like, let him quit. I was like, it's okay, you know. You don't have to go back. Like, he never forgot that. He lost, and he never forgot that. And then, like 6 months later, he's like, Dad, I want to do wrestling again. And I was like, oh, you really? Yeah. I was like, well, season's gonna like. Coming up in about 4 months. You want to do it? He's like, yeah, I want to go against that kid. I want to go against that kid that beat me. You know? So I was like, all right, cool. So that's when it started. You know, we were training, and all he had on his mind was avenging that loss, you know? But he never saw that kid. I think he was from Albuquerque. But I was just proud of him that he wanted to go, you know? And if I would have pushed him and said, no, dude, like, you know, you're not going to quit. You're going to stay, you know what I mean? I don't think he would have had a good time, you know, because nobody likes to be forced into doing something. You know, they have to want it for themselves. I think a lot of parents make the mistake by forcing their kids, like, no, you're not going to quit. But like
when he's that little, he's like 6 years old.
Yeah, he's 6 years old. Like they don't know what you know, they're everything's fear based. You know, some kids are just like animals, you know, and some kids are shy. It seems like, you know what it seems like for me. Some kids that grow up a little rougher tend to be a little more like fearless, you know, like grow up like in tough neighborhood, like with tough love, you know, or maybe the dad's not there, or less supervision. The kids that are more supervised and kind of more coddled and babied, those ones tend to be the kids that are like more like, no, I don't want to do that. They're not comfortable with doing uncomfortable things, you know. So you got to just be careful, you know, and understand that they're just babies, you know. They're just babies. So yeah, I'm super proud of him. He went undefeated this year.
Mm.
He wrestled. He wrestled his all the kindergartners first tournament, and then none of the kindergartners wanted to go against him again. Kind of the same thing what happened to him the previous year. And so Larry Lujan he's like, "You want to wrestle him up?" And I was like, "Okay, see what the." So he wrestled first graders, went undefeated there.
Wow.
And then he wrestled a second grader and won.
Wow. Cool.
So yeah, and he's like, "You want to go through?" I'm like, "No." It's just. But yeah, he's psyched and he likes it, and you know it was a good experience.
It all,
and there's no
all
pressure.
comes down to the way you talk to him, right? After like win lose, right?
Yeah, I said as
Just
long as you
support
try. I always ask him, "Did you try your hardest?" And I don't even want necessarily an answer from him. I want him to ask him that ask himself that question: Did I try my hardest? If you tried your hardest, then there's no. If you gave up, you gave up. You know, but it's just you out there. You know, you're not doing it for me.
Yeah.
This is for you. You know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents kind of forget that it's about them and
about the kids, not about.
I mean,
them.
every parent wants their kid to be successful, but it's all like their timing, you know. And it's not about like winning, losing now. It's about them wanting to keep doing it every year, stay on the mat. That's really essentially. It doesn't matter, you know. And I see a lot of kids. They're really good, like in the earlier years. You know, they go undefeated like elementary school, junior high, and then they get to high school, and they've been undefeated, and then, you know, they win their first tournament, but then they lose, and they don't know how to process like what just happened, and then that fear kind of comes in, and it's like, and then when next time they go out,
am I good enough? Am I?
Yeah, and all the stuff, all the nonsense, you know, gets in their head, and they don't know how to process losing, and then they end up just like they just like, you know, like Tiger Woods. When I was like, oh, they never lost, and then all of a sudden lost, and then just can't get it right. And I think a lot of kids, I think it's good to lose when you're young. It's good to experience that.
Learn how to lose, right?
Learn how to lose early. That way you can come back and win again. Because when you do it as an adult, when you learn that, when you experience that as a kid, it's different than experiencing it as an adult. Because then you're just like, you know, you're just lost and confused as an adult, and it's better to be lost and confused as a kid and overcome it as a kid. And then when you lose, you're like, oh, it's okay. I've lost before when I was a kid, and I know how to bounce back.
Come back and win.
Yeah. So it's good. Losing is good, you know. You learn, you know.
Yeah, it's one of the gifts, right, from jiu-jitsu and competing.
Right, and it teaches you like a lot about yourself and a lot about like just like not giving up, and you there's more learning that goes on. Like how can I me and my dad were just talking about this the other day. Like that's when you really grow, you know, is when you lose, you know. So
what were some of the things your dad did that well with you growing up with sports and things like that?
He always made it a point to tell us that God is on our side, you know. Like he would pray before like tournaments, you know, to protect us from getting hurt, you know. Just having like my dad like that, because I was so super nervous, you know, like maybe like let's pray, you know, like, you know, let's ask God. And that seemed like a big part of like me, like believing in myself, you know. After you say like a prayer, you know, it's like you get in touch with your spiritual side, and then you realize like there's nothing to be afraid of, you know what I mean? And then just the consistency with my dad, you know, he was just like he was a really solid guy, you know. I never saw my dad really like lose his composure, you know what I mean? He always kept it like, he always, you know, even in stressful times, he would, you know, he held himself accountable. Like accountability was a big thing for my pops, you know. Like I grew up, never saw my dad like party, you know, never saw my dad like smoke, like, you know. I saw him punch a guy one time, you know, that's about it. But nothing that the guy didn't deserve, you know. But that's about it. He was always just really good at like, you know, being a real good role model, you know. He always there no matter what. He used to go to I mean, when my mom and my dad split up, you know, he was really, really concerned about us. You know, my mom had obviously had to start working, but my dad made it a point to go to lunch with us every day. He'd show up for lunch every day, and that's one of the things that I do with Kenny is I learned from my dad was you got to be there, you know, because they're gonna grow up, you know, and you're gonna be like, man, I should have been like, you don't want to regret that because you can't buy those years back, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about that, and grateful for my dad that he set the good example early in life, you know. And yeah, I don't want to miss out, you know. Like there's a song, like have you heard that "Cats in the Cradle" song?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's like that song plays over and over in my head. And my dad used to tell us that too. He used to tell us like, this is the song, this is the reason why, like I'm not missing a moment, you know. And yeah, sometimes I'll just play that song just to remind myself, you know.
They're too busy working and they're not paying attention to the playing with their kid.
Yeah, and then a lot of people they complain about like, oh, my kid, like you know, you hear like, oh, my son's getting in trouble, and oh, he's this way and this way, and it's like, well, you raised him, you know what I mean? like you're bitching about your kid's behavior, but like, you know, you're the ones you brought him up, you know, so you know, I only get one chance, you know. He's probably gonna be my only baby, so I got one chance, and I'm holding myself accountable. And if he fails, I'm gonna feel like I failed him, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's growing up, you know. I'm happy with how he is. Melody's really doing a lot of really good things with him as well. She's a school teacher. She's really, you know, where I don't have the experience, that's where she comes in, you know. So she's awesome. I'm grateful to have her in his life, and yeah, I'm just super proud of him and super pumped about the future, and you know.
Nice. So I have that picture I was showing people right on the mat. There's that picture from 2000. I think it was Draculino's first seminar, right? When he came, it was like, you were white belt. How does it feel to see that picture there?
It's always a trip. Whenever I get here, that's the first place I go is check out the photo. You know, it's an honor, you know, to be a part of that. You know, all those memories and be a part of that team. You know, it was like that was when it was just one place. There was only one place where you can go to learn jiu-jitsu.
In the state, right?
In the state, yeah, and everybody, like, I remember, like, to be a black, like, people didn't see black belts, you know. I remember when Draculino walked in, like, everybody was, like, looking at his black belt, like, can I touch it? You know, you were like a fourth degree brown belt. Was that? Yeah. So, yeah, nobody had seen a black belt before, and yeah, it was a trip, you know, and everybody was. I just remember, like, kind of like, everybody was feeding off of everyone's energy in your school. That's how the growth came, you know. And then you were a really good teacher. You were really good at bringing, like, the style of jiu-jitsu in Brazil to like the same style to America, and your personality along with you were just your style of teaching, you know. You have a gift, you know. And yeah, it was an awesome, and I was just so grateful to be a part of it. And my dad was like totally pumped because he had never seen me so excited. Like, he was just happy that I wanted to be back on the mat again, you know. And I remember, and I got a nice little car. I worked hard for a summer. I bought a BMW, and I wanted to always drive it around. But meeting you kind of made me focus more on my goals and wanting to be like a serious competitor in jiu-jitsu. And otherwise I probably would have been just, you know, doing all the things that your parents don't want you to do, you know. So it was a really, really good. It was perfect timing, man. Perfect timing meeting you, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody there was nobody in town to look up to. Nobody in town to, like, you know, that I wanted to.
We had fun. We had fun.
It was too much. Yeah, a lot of
fun. Travel the world and do a bunch of cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, remember Tomas was driving the driving us to Vegas, and all the guys would be wrestling in the back of the car, in the back of the SUV. Yeah, cutting weight, and yeah, I remember like some of us could eat, some of us couldn't eat. Yeah, it was good times.
Kevin just went through that last week.
Going to the buffets. Remember going to the buffets and couldn't eat? And some people could eat.
Disaster.
Everyone's eating in front of you, and you can't even have an ice cube. But yeah, it was just good times. The discipline was the thing, you know.
What's the biggest thing jiu-jitsu has given you?
Jiu-jitsu, the biggest thing, there's a lot, but as far as the biggest thing that I've gotten from jiu-jitsu is well, my sense of confidence, but mainly like it humbles you at the same time. You know, it gives you confidence at the same time, but it humbles you because you know that there's always guys out there that that will tap
Somebody's
you out.
better, yeah.
Someone's better. Yeah, someone's better. You know, so but the biggest thing it's given me is I think it helps me become it's helped me be a better dad, you know, a better friend. Like it's taught me to appreciate like relationships more, especially as I get older, you know. And it's taught me to be patient, you know, like just a lot of things. And then I noticed like when I'm not on the mat, like it starts to like my life starts to kind of, you know, you get a little lost, you know, and then when you come back and start training, then everything kind of it grounds you again, you know. So I think what it's done for me the most is it's made me appreciate like my youth too, you know. Like, cause now when you get on the mat, it's like I got on the mat today and I'm like, you know, 20-year-old Tim would have smashed like 40-year-old Tim, you know. So
how did you feel on the mat today?
I felt pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, I don't train in Santa Fe too much. I probably, you know, I go maybe if I'm lucky, maybe like once a month. You know, so busy with him. I haven't really trained since my neck. It's like not fun, you know. Yeah. Like
you'll be in pain after.
Well, it's like gambling. It's like I can train one session and be like, okay, it didn't hurt my neck, and then train another one, and it didn't hurt my neck. But like eventually, something's gonna happen to where I'm gonna be stuck like this for a month, and it's gonna take me a whole month to get here again. So I kind of take it like I take it slow, you know, and like, but when I'm out here, I'm just, you know, whatever, you know. But it feels good because that savage comes out in you, you know what I mean? And then just, you know, I know that I'm home, and I know that all these guys are like taking care of me, you know, and nobody's out here to try to hurt you, you know. So that's what I like coming out here for. When you go to other gyms, like they just see your black belt and they just want you.
Depends. Yeah.
You have a red dot on you have like red dots all over you when you come walk in a gym. So I've learned to pick and choose who I want to train with. Before I was just like, somebody asked me to train and I'd be like, okay, let's go. You know, the guy's like 50 pounds, 100 pounds heavier than me, and I'm like training with him, which is it's probably not smart, you know, with my neck, but you know me.
Yeah, you'll do it.
I'll do it, you know. I'll pay the price later, but I'll still do it, you know.
What you know, it's been a few years, right? What are you most grateful for in the years, these years?
Man, I'm grateful for, like, you know, when I come out here, I get really excited to see your kids, you know, see how, you know, like, see them compete, and I'm just grateful to be a part of this family, you know, to be a part of, you know, just to, you know, as you get older, you start to appreciate things that you don't really recognize when you were younger. You know, you're too busy, like, living your own life, you know, and now you're like, when I come out here, it brings back so many memories, and it makes me grateful to know that I was a part of the whole, like, the big picture, you know what I mean? So I'm just grateful to, you know, to have the friends that I have, you know, sometimes like you lose touch with the friends, but then like when you come back, you know you just pick up right where you left off. But that's what I'm most grateful for. All the friends that I have, all the closest guys that I've ever like everything in my life was because jiu-jitsu. All the friends that I have, like everything always leads to jiu-jitsu. So that's what I'm most grateful for is the fact that like
Friendships,
the friendships, the
relationships.
yeah, that's the most more bigger than anything anything else. It's just the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Solid guys. Like you never meet a guy who's like a black belt or who studies jiu-jitsu who's like who's not solid. All the guys you brought around, you go to Dracolinos, all those guys that you came up with, all solid guys. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I'm grateful for the most is when I go back to Brazil. Like when we went back, seeing all the guys and seeing how happy they were to see you. Like and you just pick up where you left off. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
well said.
thanks.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Love
Thank
you, bro.
Thanks for making the time.
Yeah.
Coming
Always try to make it up at least a couple times a year.
Yeah.
So it's
really nice to see you. You and your boy and my son hang out, go to the beach together, and it's a trip, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's cool. It's awesome. It's everything I could ask for.
Yeah, I remember both of them were babies. We saw them both in their little babies.
Yeah. So now Savon's got I remember you were carrying him. I just came back from New York, and you had Savon like on your shoulders. He was just like a little guy, and then I remember looking at you, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder how it's gonna that's gonna be me someday, And then here I am, It's crazy how the time flies, but yeah, it's always nice coming out here and visiting you, bro.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Thank
Nothing
you.
but love.
Yeah, thank you for. That's it.
Thanks for everything, bro. Love you, man.